Great. Good morning. Thank you for being here this morning. Anybody enjoy breakfast? If you did, let's thank Cindy. Great job. Also would like to thank Professor Dan DeRolay, who's working with the Academic Senate to put together a wonderful professional development week. And of course, his support in that, Steph Alvarez always does a great job in putting this together. And all of the support teams that are behind this, whether it's technology, putting our slides together, setting up the breakfast area. I want to let you know that Sergio, our lead groundskeeper, assembled those table pieces one piece by piece. On each of that. So really quite an artist, quite an artist. So with that, let's get started in our traditional way. At this point, I would like to bring forward Trustee James Wright to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please follow me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Trustee Wright. A couple of introductions here. You have just met Trustee Wright here. Thank you for being here with us today, Trustee Wright. We also have Vice President of the Board, Marcia Milchiker, joining us here today. She'll make comments in a moment. And we also have Trustee Terry Witt with us here today. Thank you so much. The Chancellor couldn't be here today because we were trying a new experiment and didn't recognize that the experiment fell on docket day, which is today, putting together the board agenda. So she had to attend to that. But the intention was, and coming from our faculty, is that today might be a better day to get more faculty to attend this session and learn about what everything is happening in the college. And I think it has been successful. So we'll take a look at that a little bit later and see how that went. If you noticed as you came in, you might have noticed a big event happening right out here. Well, that is Laser Week. We need to congratulate Dr. Linda Fontanella for putting that together. It was her idea, and it has been highly successful. And working with her, a number of people, no one can do these kinds of things alone. DJ Santiago, Anissa Sessa Hurd-Johnson, Arlene Elserode, and all of their staff came together to pull Laser Week together. It's interesting to know that the orientation program, we had 500 students. These are incoming freshmen. We had 500 students yesterday, and we expect 530 students today. And I also saw yesterday a number of our faculty out giving orientations for the various programs that we have, so a debt of gratitude to you as well. So thank you, a highly successful program. Okay, with that, we have remarks from the Board of Trustees, and our Vice President, Marcia Milchiker, will provide those today.
Thanks so much, Dr. Rockmore. Good morning. It's wonderful to be here at Irvine Valley College, the #1 transfer school in the state of California. I'm very proud of that and very proud of all of you. A bit earlier today, I was in a little room close to here, and I bumped into Dr. Rockmore. And Dr. Rockmore said to me, "Are you nervous?" And I said, "I've been giving extemporaneous speeches when I run for election for many years. I actually kiss a lot of babies and shake a lot of hands," or is it shake a lot of babies and kiss a lot of hands to get people's votes. I never lost an election. Why do you think I'm nervous? And he said, "Are you sure you're not nervous?" And I said, I've been a biology teacher for many years at Santa Ana College. I worked at the Cleveland Clinic doing orthopedic surgery research, developing methyl methacrylate bone cement for total hip replacements. I made it fruit flies. Why do you think I'm nervous? And he said, well, what are you doing in the men's room? Sorry, Glenn. It's great pleasure to bring greetings today from our Board of Trustees. We have a worthy and good board who cares about our students, who cares about our college, and we try to make all the difference in the lives of thousands of students at both colleges, both Saddleback College and Irvine Valley College. And we're thrilled to have our new chancellor, Dr. Kathleen Burke, on board in our district to guide us through this time of incredible change in our state and in our district. We're working on a new strategic plan, a new academic master plan, and then following that, a new facilities master plan. When I first was elected to the board a number of years ago, IVC became IVC that year. We did our very best to nurture this brand new college and to hire the best and the brightest. And we did that to make sure that our college was tops academically and made sense physically, its physical plant, so there would be learning communities here. And we did this so well, so very well, and so many people worked so hard to do this so well. In just 33 years, which is a short time in academe, we have the number one transfer school in the state of California, and we have the number one forensics team in the nation, and we have so many firsts that I don't even have time to talk about all of them, and so many number ones in both academically and in our athletics that we've really done a great job. And so what else do we have that's new this year? What else is new this year is the new state funding formula. And this state funding formula will eventually have about 20% of all of our schools' fundings, of all the community college funding in the state of California, based on our student success. We do a good job, so I think we're going to be fine in that metric. And then another new bill, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, AB 705, we studied how the students succeeded when they were taking remedial or basic skills classes. And students that were in these remedial or basic skills classes, only about 6% of them completed their college education or reached their goals. This was a dismal metric. So the state decided to change this by having AB 705, which requires us, rather than assess students and by one math test, one English test, assess them on their high school record and places them in really college-level classes, classes that transfer, because this metric was so dismal. And I believe in data, and I know all you believe in data, so we're going to change things and try to do a bit better. I know we'll do better at Irvine Valley College. So it places all these students right now that were in these basic skills or remedial classes, that we used to call them, into college-level transfer classes, and has students that really have some problems take at the same time co-requisite, taught by the same professors in these classes, and also has them take a lot of tutoring classes to help these students succeed. And we'll see if we can do better with these students, and I'm really hopeful that we can. So in this level, I thank your Dean of Instruction, the professors, the facilities people, the IT people, and all the people who have worked so hard to make this enormous change for our district and our students in our colleges. More than 116 employees took our early retirement plan, and this was the most successful early retirement plan that we've ever had. This means that we have to replace 116 employees, and this is administrators, professors, classified staff, through the whole gamut of all our full-time people. So this gives us a unique and incredible opportunity to look at our programs, to look at our what we're teaching, to look at our structure and see if we want to have the same structure in the future. Our district just celebrated our 50-year anniversary, and as we go into the next 50 years, and we're setting the trajectory to the next 50 years, let's make sure that we have the structure that we need with this incredibly new opportunity. So after we do our new strategic plan, we're going to hire the professors, and we have to hire, again, the best and the brightest and the most enthusiastic and the most brilliant, just like everyone in this room, to help guide our students through the next millenniums. And as we learned yesterday, our students are no longer millennials. We're Generation Z now. So we're guiding these students through the next 50 years, and it's a very, very exciting time. So right now, I'm very excited about the new challenges and new changes, exciting new times, and looking forward to having new faces in the crowd, and looking forward to working with all of you in implementing all of this. And I hope you're as excited about it as I am. I love IVC, and I know all of you do too. I'm looking forward to hearing President Rockmore speak about what he believes the college's new challenges and new goals are for the upcoming year. And I want to thank all of you for your continued dedication and all of the work you've done to educate all of our students, to help them get good jobs, transfer and complete their post-secondary education, and have a very successful rest of their lives. You make all the difference for our students and for Irvine Valley College. And thank you, and the best wishes for a fabulous academic year of 2018-2019. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Milchiker. You really did a nice setup for what's going to follow here quickly. I think that's fantastic. Well, first of all, as you came in, you received the new employee brochure here, and we continue to try to work with our HR department so that when changes are made or new folks are hired, we also get a photograph. So it is hard for me today to be able to go through everybody. So if your name is in this booklet, would you please stand for a round of applause, and we'll connect with you soon. Do we have anybody in the room? Okay. Remember those faces, and we'll say hi and get to know you. All right, next of all, as you came in, you received this ever-growing document over time, which has to do with the accomplishments for 2018-2019. Again, I'll mention a couple of accomplishments a little bit later. That's all I can really have time for today. But take a read here. This really shows what IVC is all about. The hard work, all of the new initiatives, the leadership that this college is known for is contained within this document. So enjoy reading that. I think particularly for our new folks, you'll enjoy that as well. Okay, so today I am going to go through a series of slides. It's going to be kind of classroom-like because I'm going to want you to think a little bit and within your own mind draw a conclusion. I'm going to attempt to draw connections between all of the initiatives that have taken place over time. The reality of it, and I wish the room was full, I wish we could understand that this morning is not about the president talking. It is about conveying information. And we're going to have information partly delivered by me, but also delivered by faculty and administration. This is important information, so we don't end up in a place where we say, I didn't know about it. And when we reflect back, as I try to make ties to these new initiatives, let's take a look at what has been happening. Back in the beginning, starting with the 21st Century Commission on Community Colleges that was convened by the American Association of Community Colleges, came up with a document called Reclaiming the American Dream, Community Colleges and the Nation's Future. Contained within this document, you'll find the themes that we're about to review. And this is going back many years. I didn't write the date down here, but real quickly, if they happen to do that for me, they did not. So definitely 5 years ago, maybe, that this came about. And in fact, we had a speaker here, Dr. Kay McClinney, that spoke to this document for us. Right after that, again coming out of the American Association of Community Colleges, is a document called Empowering Community Colleges to Build the Nation's Future, an implementation guide. And I have to tell you that these two documents found their way into our strategic plan in various ways. Again, within these documents, you will find the evolving themes that we are working with today, starting way back then. Well, then came the opportunity for this college to go through a very rigorous process to apply for being one of the colleges to work nationally on guided pathways. Kathy Schmeidler was part of that. There were a number of us that actually went through an oral interview. We had to have a written application. And out of 300 applicants, we were chosen of one of the 30. That's something to be proud of, very proud of. And again, in the Pathways work, it's not just about change for the sake of change. There's a true theme behind this. And just in a word, if you get it in your head, it's about social justice. Then came implementing guided pathways, early insights from the AACC Pathways colleges. And Davis Jenkins is one of the authors of the Redesigning America's Community Colleges, put this document together to talk about some of the findings that the 30 colleges had arrived at and were in here. So that, again, is very important for us. Then, as we predicted in one of these meetings, that wave would hit California. And sure enough, it did make it. We now have the California Guided Pathways. Looking inside the document, you will see it's about social justice. This is about students. This is about access. This is about helping students have that American dream like we all have sitting in the room here. And there are many that are left out of that equation even as we speak. Then finally, what I'm going to do the tie-in with, you saw yesterday from our wonderful new chancellor, Dr. Kathleen Burke. Folks, we're really lucky to have her. Most of my colleagues agree with that. She has a strong community college president background, as well as a faculty background. And she brings a flavor to this position that I have not seen for years. And she is very college-centric in her thinking, and we can all benefit from that. And I think that's a wonderful, wonderful occasion. Well, she spoke of Vision for Success. And it's available on the State Chancellor's website. In fact, any of these documents, if you wish to look at them, I can arrange that for you. Vision for Success then essentially pulls all of these documents I have here together into a single document and sets out our chart. So if we believe, even for a second, that this is just another initiative, we'll be headed down the wrong pathway, because the other thing that I'll talk about is how the Vision for Success finds its way into the budget allocation model for community colleges. So the one tool, because community colleges are hard to move, they're hard to change. It takes a lot of energy, it takes passion, it takes everyone to hook onto an idea and to run it to the finish line. And that doesn't happen all the time. It happens a lot here at IBC, I'm proud to say. But across the system, that is not necessarily true. The state chancellor does not have dictatorial power. State chancellor is a civil servant, basically. And it certainly has the role to set out the vision for the California community colleges, well within that role. Also owns the budget. So there is the leverage, is that we now have financial targets that are tied directly to social justice. So, vision for success. I'm going to do a bit of what our chancellor did yesterday. She also talked about the budget. I'll do that as well. We talked ahead of time. She was setting me up for this. And so we'll do a little bit deeper dive. Then we're going to have an opportunity to hear a guest speaker that I think will be extremely informative to you. And again, I wish we were full of faculty to hear what you're going to hear. That will be followed by a presentation on guided pathways. We'll take a break, and then we'll come in with AB 705, which is another initiative that we're looking at deploying here. And then finally, believe it or not, and this will not be boring, there is a new enrollment management model that is highly effective and has proven to be highly effective that I'm going to share with you. And don't worry, there's no data. It's not boring. You'll enjoy it. No worries. All right, let's go again, as the chancellor did. She went rather quickly in an abbreviated way. Read this and think, what is behind it? What can you condense this to one word in terms of something that we need to achieve? What might that be? Many of you may have plenty of ideas of what that might be. There's no really correct answer, but here's what I think it says. Now, 20%, these are all system-wide, by the way. And in some cases, that's going to be harder for us because in many of these goals, we already excel. And so if we're already at a very high performance rate, we're being asked to go a little bit higher. That means it's going to take that much more work to do this. Also know that each of these goals are required to find their way into our strategic plan. It's a requirement of the budget model that they see that. And so we're working very hard right now in trying to find a way that we can do this in a meaningful way. And obviously, if we put 20% right here, we're not going to make it. It just can't be done that way. So we have to find a way to meet that goal, to help the system increase that goal, while realizing we're already doing pretty well in this, and that's a lofty challenge for us. Okay, how about increasing by 35% the number of transfer students? What do we do to do that? Why would we want to do that? Again, this goes back to we want to get our students on a well-defined, efficient pathway to their goals. We don't want them to languish, get tired of education, drop out, take a job. We want to make sure that they are going to be able to accomplish and move forward and get into our system and enjoy the lives that we have. So what does this mean? Again, could be many things, but obviously it goes back to transfer rate. The third, we're decreasing the number of units accumulated by our students. And what's interesting here is that while Guided Pathways calls for 60 to 64 units, the state chancellor has come out with a number 79 total units because that's a current index of colleges that are meeting this goal. And there's still a lot of work because many of our programs are still at 87 or higher. Actually, the average for California is 90. So in reading this, what is this trying to tell us? It's Guided Pathways, found the way into the vision for success. We want to reduce those units for not to cut education away from our students, but to provide true relevance, true pathway-related relevance for what their goals are, and to ensure that they are getting to where they need to go efficiently. Equity gaps. We are not serving a very large population in California. It's not our own fault, but we have a model that's basically we have great outreach. There's no issues with the outreach we do, but we outreach to those that we know can come. We outreach to those that are showing a pattern in their high schools that they could come. But we need to expand this to outreach to those that don't know they can come, that may have barriers that's preventing them from coming, that may have families that are saying, why the heck would you want to do that? And they're out there, and there's large numbers that are out there. So when they don't know, because there's an unusual firewall, one that we are not used to going over the top of to get to them, then oftentimes their choices are crime. It could be poverty. It could be a whole number of things, all of which do not help us. That does not help them reach the American dream that you all enjoy. So what is that? It's equity, social justice. Achievement gaps. I just kind of illuminated that a little bit. Faster improvement. Located where the lowest educational attainment is. So not to put pressure on our new director of outreach here, but there's work to be done for those that we have not reached in the past. And we have to find out how to do that. Guided pathways, student equity, AB 705, all packaged within that goal. Then within the vision, there's also 7 commitments. These are core commitments that our system can make. Admittedly, it talks about ambitious goals. They are. And I have to tell you, part of this comes from our state chancellor, who had a hand in bringing hundreds of millions of dollars to our system. His job is to go to the legislature and convince them that we are ready, we're good, we're going to meet the Student Success Act goals, and we're going to move the needle. After hundreds of millions of dollars and well over 6 years, our system did not budge the needle. So imagine being the state chancellor and walking back into the legislature and saying, our colleges are absolutely fantastic, and we're really achieving great things. We need that next chunk of money. And they say, what have you done? That's where he sits, and that is what is driving this vision for success. This is try number 2 for our students. Focus relentlessly on the students' end goals. And so within this, you can read the details of what all of that is. So it's more than what we're just doing as you read. This is guided pathways. Design and decide everything that we do with our students' outcome in mind. So making it easy for all of our students among all cohorts, that they can get what they need and that everything is aligned. Now this, of course, we have to align with our K-12s. There's a lot of great work that's going on there. They have asked us, the Orange County Department of Education has asked us to join them at the table. Just met one of their vice presidents yesterday, unrelated meeting. Said, when are we going to sit down? We've got to get this done because we want to align with your guided pathways. And in the K-12 system, unlike us, they can do that. They can align programs. And we have to work on it in a very different way here. But that's what this is all about. And not surprisingly, it's guided pathways and aligning our transfer pathways also with our CSUs and universities. We're doing great work there. We can't forget GAP 4. Got a new engineering MOU. We're working with Cal State Fullerton on another engineering pathway. We're looking at expanding from mechanical to electrical. So these connections are being made. And it's those pathways, when students can see the end goal, they're going to engage and they're going to be successful because they know what's at the end of it. Pairing these high expectations with support As you know, a lot of the Guided Pathways work is around student services. You need to have the support. You need to have the check-ins. You've got to keep them on the path. You have to make sure that they remain successful as they go through that. Some of the tools, 705, and kind of the buzzword wraparound services. So to encapsulate our students in support so that they don't waver in what these goals are and that they're able to navigate our relatively complicated system. Use data, inquiry, and evidence. So I think we're all proud of our research department. Really helps us and supports us in a very big way with this. And I can tell you there's no other research department like it in any other community college in California. So, so his head doesn't explode. Let's just give him a round of applause here. Loris is down here. All right, so we're talking data-driven decision-making so that we're charting our course along a path of reality and not assumption. Taking ownership. So we have to own our goals. We have to own our performance. And you can bet that the legislature is going to track that. You're going to see that in our new budget model. Because, in fact, it is step one in a performance-based funding model. Planning and meeting our KPIs is what that is about, and of course based on a good solid data foundation. Action, thoughtful innovation. All of this relates to risk. We should never be afraid of taking risk. And even our trustees understand, if you don't take a risk, you're not going to move. Sometimes you're going to fail. And I believe they'll give us the room to fail and learn from it and do better next time. So there should be no fear there. But again, without taking the risk to do something new and innovative to help meet these lofty goals, we'll not move that needle. It just can't happen. And then, so innovation driven by risk. So then this is the last one. Lead the work of partnering across all systems, and I believe we're doing that. I don't really believe I know of another institution that is in California that is doing that at the level that we are. I just learned yesterday that there are 3 other colleges that are hounding UCI for an MOU on engineering. Must have been a good idea. Mount SAC wants one. Orange Coast College wants one. Santa Ana wants one. We built that. Same thing happened with GAP 4, by the way, is that once that was built and operational, a lot of people came to the table to do the same thing. So we are doing wonderful work here to meet these goals. Got to keep on that track, keep going. These partnerships need to be meaningful. That's what the MOU is all about. We agree. It's not just a handshake, but we agree that we're going to work together cross systems to meet these goals. All right, so now the leverage, and understand that it is truly leverage. I think you know that our prior model was entirely based on access. Now, as I've just spoken, let's do another tie-in. If you go strictly on access, full-time equivalent students, there's really not a lot of drive to do anything really innovative because we're used to doing our outreach. We go to the high schools, we do the things, and we're very quick to say the enrollments are down because we don't have as many high school graduates. Or it's the economy, they're all taking jobs. Anybody ever heard that before? So I've heard it quite a lot. Has anybody really thought that maybe there's a cohort of students out there that do not have access? And where's the initiative to find them, to get them into our system and provide them an opportunity? This funding model will do that. You've been able to read here. I have to say, from the governor's model, was a lot stricter than this, a lot stricter. The CEOs and some of the other organizations stepped in. It was largely the CBOs, Chief Business Officers, that were kind of leading this. And no offense to anybody, but they are bean counters. So they were leading this, but the CEOs, the educators got involved and began to build some things, some safety valves into this. So a number of things. It was going to be implemented right away, basically. So that means it would be plopped on you. It would drive our CIOs crazy because they're planning targets and enrollments, and all of a sudden things are different. That would be chaos. Also, there's no time to determine if there are any unintended consequences, which you don't want. So we've been able to build time in. I think we have about 3 years. We're also able to stabilize and not take a direct hit. This district was set to lose in the first calculations about 500,000, I think. Probably worse than that. So we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to keep our bases stable throughout the 3 years as we prepare for the 2 new elements of the budget model. So as you can see in this diagram, I think the chancellor might have shown this, but I'll go into a little bit more detail. If you look at the column, those are the things that fit under that particular piece. And when it says base, it means FTES. So that is our base income. That used to be the whole model. For the next 3 years, it'll be 70% will be based on FTES and what we're able to do there. It also gave us back summer shift. That's great for the CIOs to be able to manage those enrollments and keep that base stable. But it also includes that rural allocation that has been hurting us over the last 5 years or so. Because when we had the FTES model, we used to get a funding increase for growth that could be a minimum of 3% for years and years and years, even as high as 6%. It takes 2% to keep this institution solvent based on ongoing costs, step and column, electricity, all those things. It takes 2%. We were cut to 0.5% based on this rural measure. And so we've had to be very innovative in how we're able to keep the ship moving in the right direction under that. Well, that's going to still be there. And although at the same time they're saying, as low as that is, we'll keep our money and perhaps have a little bit more in the base. So then we move to the 2 new ones. What do these mean? You see the word equity. Have we talked about equity this morning? It's in there. So we're going to take a look at our Pell Grant recipients. That's going to be a measure. We have about 38% of our students that qualify federally as poor. We'll take a look at the head count of students who are involved in a promise grant or fee waiver. This is the California Promise, used to be the BOG waiver. That's another measure of poverty. And as well as how many DREAM students that we are serving. So again, it's getting back to equity, it's getting back to social justice, it's getting to the point where we're providing access for those that never believed they even had an access point into our system. Then we move to the last column here, and you're looking at 10% for the first 3 years. Note that it's moving to 70, and that our base will be dropping to 60. So the final calculation here will be 60 FTES, 20 equity, and 20 success. So here we're looking at transfer, math and English within the first year. You can read all of these. You've seen them before, and I've just talked about all of them, actually, when you look at the goals and you look at the measures that we can take for success. You find them all here. A really tough one is regional living wage after 1 year. What does that mean? It means guided pathways. It means that we are finding relevant pathways to career that will allow an individual to live in Orange County or many other counties around the country where it's very expensive, San Francisco. That's how that works. This is how it ties all of the work that we've been doing since reclaiming the American dream has been building to this point. And fortunately, we're way ahead of most. And I congratulate all of you for all of the hard work and recognizing that this was important work and putting the measures in place that you have so that we're not drowning in initiatives. We understand it, we get it, we see the connections, and we have purpose. Purpose is social equity. Okay, some of the elements I talked about, I'll just go through this quickly here, we can move on, but we have hold armless, which is great. I talked about that, the stability. It's our choice in terms of the summer shift, and we'll probably choose to do that as long as we've earned the money, we can move it. We don't want to move money we haven't earned. And then there's this oversight committee, so there's your accountability piece. It's going to be made up of 15 people coming from different segments. So basically that's the formula. If you want to know more, we'll continue to talk about this throughout the year. All right, quickly, because I have some guest speakers here, I'm losing track of time. Let's talk a little bit about some of our facilities work. And so right at the top here, we opened a new school, IDEA, and they have moved into the IDEA building. This building is catching the attention of our community, particularly our business and industry communities, are really excited about the opportunities that this building provides. If you haven't been out, just go out and check it out sometime. We have a new marquee. The old ones stood there with nothing on them for way too long. And so through our college processes, we came up with a new design. And I hope everybody is happy with the look there, a bit more modern. We have B105 to try to take care of some of the insecurities, food insecurities that our students have, and you would be surprised how many that we have. I tell you, we had an opportunity, if we could only get a space that had refrigerators and would go through the same kind of food regulations that our cafeteria has. We have a couple of people that want to donate to us every night food that could be used, and we just can't take it right now, and we could use every bit of it. So congratulations on that Food Resource Center. Health Center is coming along, and so you can see here the 3 exam rooms, all of the great things that are going to be happening in there. I'm not exactly sure, is Jeff in the room? Maybe he can tell me, when are we going to break ground? October? Okay, October, we're going to start this project for real. And so you can see the things that are going to be in there. Here's one that's really exciting, is that the parking lot 6, which will essentially go from the little farm all the way out to Laser Way, giving us 400 new parking spaces for you and for our students. Okay, we've got some charging stations here, and the way that this works is it's part of the smart grid system in California, where we're trying to do a thing called peak shaving. And before, these turbines would have to run at full speed all the time, whether it was geothermal, hydropower, gas, or whatever you had. And that was very expensive to be passed on to the ratepayer. So by storing that energy, they're able to idle those down, costing less to generate the electricity, and it's stored in batteries. So in our case, it's going to be stored in Tesla batteries, and it's also going to have solar shade structures. So a little bit of things you should know. We currently spend about $1.2 million in utilities here on this campus. And with the construction of the Tesla battery storage, IBC will have the largest battery technology park for any community college in the world. That's sustainability. Whoops, okay, I went too far. All right, so just a couple of kudos here. There are many, many, many. I can't cover all of them, but here's one in particular. The IVC Veterans Center Innovation Award. A great team worked on this. And of course, it's a way to help all 114 community colleges and their veteran centers. I think that's very honorable. The team, Nancy Montgomery, Eric Garcia, Zeke Hall, Loris here, Josh Dorman, who's also in research, Bruce Feinstein, also in research, and of course, Rachel Manders. Congratulations on a $2 million award. We also received a NSF grant, and for $5 million. It's shared with UCI, and this is going to provide scholarships and help support the UCI IVC Engineering Academy. And the grant was written by our own faculty member, Matthew Wolkin, Department of Mathematics. He's the chair in Computer Science and Engineering. Zara Nawruzi, one of our engineering faculty, and of course, Rachel Manders. This is incredible partnership, and kudos to all that worked on that.